Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel where we're in person. I can cross the divide.
Oh no!
Wow. Just coincidence happened to be that we were both free and available to be in person this week. So here we are. Wow.
Yes.
And what an occasion, hey?
I know, right?
If you haven't seen these videos before, we review Doctor Who episodes, at least modern day Doctor Who episodes from 2005 onwards. We've now watched 6 whole series plus a handful of specials. And this is one of those specials. This is the 2011 Christmas special. The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe.
Yes.
This is a companion light, I guess. What episode?
Depends if you can stand as a companion.
Yeah, no, I do not.
Claire Skinner's in the credits, other than Karen Gillan.
No, companion light episode. A Christmas special. So where we left was the Doctor was dead.
Yes.
Or at least told everyone he died. But in reality, he was just out gallivanting as he usually does.
Mm-hmm.
And he happens to gallivant into a spaceship which blows up and he falls to Earth. He runs into a lady. A couple of years later, the lady's husband dies, and then he runs into them again as the caretaker of this house that they've been evacuated to.
Yes.
Or at least they've fled the town for their...
just in case.
Yeah.
In case they got blown up on Christmas Day.
And it happens to be around Christmas, of course, because it is a Christmas special, so it has to be around Christmas. And yeah, there's a present that takes them to a different planet in a different time, where the planet's about to be destroyed, basically.
Yeah, deforestation is the villain this week.
Yes, effectively.
In my Doctor Who.
And they don't necessarily save the day. I guess they just evacuate the people and then they go by.
In their own way. They don't save the planet. That's
no, but they save the people.
They save the people,
or at least the people that were evacuating, not necessarily.
Asgard isn't a place; it is a people.
Yeah,
so technically,
yes,
they did save.
They did. What did you think of the episode?
I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I was. I didn't love it. It's not a favourite.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Yes.
I was very pleasantly surprised. It does help that I think this is only like the second time I've ever watched it all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
First time was on Christmas Day 2011,
and
I was 12 years younger.
Hideous.
Nearly half my lifetime, yeah. But yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised at how much fun I had with it. Definitely some issues.
Mm-hmm.
I think, ironically enough, it almost feels like this would have been better as a 45-minute episode.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is fun. But I still had fun with it. I think there was, mainly for the Doctor, let's not lie.
Yep.
He has some great moments, as is often the case. And I actually ended up quite liking the story that they were telling with it.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, it's kind of in my negatives anyway, but I do quite like, in kind of like a Twice Upon a Time-ish way, that there wasn't really like an evil cackling villain. I like that was something a bit different, especially when, they're kind of heavy on the overarching villain in Series 6.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of shows the Doctor's isolation from all of that in that way. Can't believe they shoved deforestation down our throats.
Yeah.
And to be a woman next.
And women empowerment in this International Women's Day week. How
know,
dare
right?
they?
Disgusting. Heaven forbid, Doctor Who isn't what it used to be.
God's sake.
But yeah, I did have fun with it. I do have a few issues, and I don't know if the supporting cast of characters are the strongest this time around, which is unfortunate given how strong Series 6 was for that. But particularly with the final scene, it sets a nice stage for Series 7. I think it certainly had some like heartwarming Christmassy moments. I would be interested actually in checking this out again this Christmas and actually watching it around Christmas time and see how that might impact things. I think I get even more enjoyment out of it. But I will say I was actually really impressed by how much I enjoyed it compared to my initial expectations and how we've been joking about getting to this point since we started this.
Yeah.
It isn't a 42 situation. I actually was like, oh yeah, this is great. Not to like the levels of like, oh, I really love Vampires of Venice. I really enjoy The Doctor's Daughter. It's not like that far. Let's calm down. I still think this is the weakest Christmas special.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a good time with it, and I guess that's a win.
Yes, I think I'm almost there. I don't think I'm at the whole. It's miles better than I thought. I think it's definitely better than I thought it would be, and I think maybe that's just me not watching it for a while and having the tinted. Oh, I didn't enjoy that one.
And hating off that.
Yeah, and that whole thing, and
hating women.
You know, yeah. But there are definitely things that I liked about it. I think the issues that I had with it going into it, I think, are still there. So it's not like I've misremembered what was wrong with it.
All the things I thought were going to be my negatives are my negatives.
Yeah, but there's more things in there that I enjoyed than I thought I would enjoy, or at least things I couldn't remember that I just forgot because I was clouded by. Oh, that wasn't very good.
Yeah,
you know?
I also find it. I was looking at reviews and stuff. This episode for critics was really well received, and I found that really funny that that, and then the fandom response to this is like, this is awful.
Always the way.
It's always I mean, Doctor Who fans hate every single episode.
Yeah.
So why am I surprised?
Yeah,
I found that quite funny as well.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I did enjoy it. There are things that I liked. There are things that I quite liked. I imagine some of them are online. Some of ours might overlap to some extent. Maybe in the negatives, especially. But we will see. If you haven't seen this before, we do 3 positives and 3 negatives, and as close as that as we can be.
Mm-hmm.
I think you went first last week.
I did go
so
first.
I'm going first this week. My first positive, Matt Smith.
Yes. Shocking, absolutely zero people.
Yes, I think he's by far the best part of this episode. It's
the classic thing of every Doctor is so good, but they do hold the bad episodes together. Yes,
and I think he's the stat. You know, if he wasn't in this one, this was a Love and Monsters situation where the family had to sort it out themselves, and he appeared at the end or something like that. I think that would have made this episode much worse.
Yes,
I think for me at least, he carries the episode.
This isn't like a Blink situation where Sally Sparrow is strong enough character to kind of carry most of it.
Yeah,
this is like. I think I would hate them all.
Yes,
it was just them most of the time.
Yeah, and he's good. He's, as we have spoken about previously in Series 6, he's goofy when he needs to be goofy, and he's serious and heartwarming, I guess, when he needs to be. There's no sort of real like, oh, I'm angry at aliens this week, but there is a heartfelt sort of, you need to chat with your family, mate, and tell them the truth.
And my God, did he sell that crown thing fucking hurt?
Oh yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah, yes, he certainly did sell that one prop that they managed to dig out the back work. My theory is they accidentally dropped the real crown and went, oh no, what are we gonna do? And they just
quick, make a circle.
Yeah. But yeah, he's definitely the best bit of it. Maybe it helps that the supporting cast aren't the best, and therefore it makes him look better as the one that sort of stands out from the pile. But I wouldn't. But I still think that even if he was,
we've seen enough proof that that's probably not the case.
Yes, yeah, it's not as if this is like a one-off and be like, oh, actually, Matt Smith's a good actor, because he's like this throughout. But I think you definitely notice it more when the rest of the cast aren't necessarily.
It's a very 11 story, isn't it?
Yes,
I think it does very much work having that particular incarnation there as well.
Yeah, because I think it shows that whole cliche goofy side of him, especially sort of at the start. And then it shows the more sincere and serious side of him as the story goes on, when he's got to deal with the themes of loss and sort of not contemplation, like when you come to terms with something. I guess it's just coming to terms with
acceptance.
Yeah, acceptance. We'll go with that one. Sure. When he comes all with that, towards the end with Amy and Rory and stuff, I think it's great. So what did you think about Matt Smith, if he's your number one?
I love him. He's my best boy. He's my son. He is. He's my good son boy. My sweet cheese. Yeah, I may have mentioned once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
I love him. Yeah, he's fantastic. I loved the kind of goofiness he had at the start. That whole sequence of him, wearing the suit on like the wrong way around and all of that, and then him showing the kids all around the house.
Yeah.
I know, getting bigger and bigger every time with that, and jumping on, missing the bunk beds and all of that kind of thing is great. But I do like that when he picks up on like, oh, the vibes are off here, I need to be serious now. And a lot of people quote that line about because they're going to be sad later. You see that scene quoted quite a lot, and I think it's because it's a lovely line and a great scene. So I like that he kind of has those moments, and so they kind of build up him being like, oh, happy crying, what a human thing to do, to build up to him happy crying at the end, which is again a very lovely scene. We'll talk about that quite soon. And yeah, he definitely really carries the episode together. I probably could have just watched him give a tour of the house for an hour, to be honest.
Definitely.
It probably would have been better for it. But yeah, he just so much fun to watch. And after what series it's kind of put 11 through, it is nice in a way that he's not really the one going through all the trauma this time around. And he can very much be the Doctor. It's a very doctor-y kind of role that he plays, more so than maybe more often than not, really. You know, him like guiding the kids around and stuff like that. And I like the little details of him really taking care of Lily when they're kind of walking around and making sure, like, I'm not losing another kid. Hold my hand, God damn it.
Yeah.
And all of that, and how they tie in, you know, him letting the people he loves think he's dead with, you know, them thinking Reg is dead, and how that kind of comes back to be like, yes, Mum. He gets told off to have to go back and find Amy and Rory. And that's a really lovely kind of conclusion to his little arc for the episode. You know, he does have a very clear arc throughout this one, even if he is just still doing very doctory things for most of it, which I think is very well done. So yeah, once again, he's great. And I think there's just something about 11 Christmas stories that I always do get a kick out of. And yeah, shocking no one here. I think 11 is the best part of this particular Christmas special.
Yeah, it would be hard to disagree, I think.
Good.
Yeah. Actually, if you do disagree, you're wrong. So, sorry.
Just like the video.
Yeah. My second positive, I think, is going to be the cold open.
Ooh, okay.
I quite like it, and I always
I like
remember
it.
thinking, like, whenever I think of the episode, like, I really like the cold open. I think it's so cool that he's like, you don't even know the context. You know, there's a spaceship, and you're like, oh my god, what's going to happen? And the music swelling and the explosions, and it's all very traditional cliche Doctor Who. But I quite like it. I think it's kind of a shame that it's at the start of this episode, because I feel that I might have wanted to see
action-wise, it peaks right at the
yeah,
first 2 minutes.
I might have wanted to see that story, because, you know, the spaceship looks great. It's probably the best CGI in the episode. The practical effects are all there. The music's all there. It's really, you know, up there, and you kind of think, yeah, this is going to be a great Christmas action-packed adventure.
Get
and
pumped.
And it's like, we're spending a lot of time in the house in the forest now. Okay, then. So I think, you know, from that side, it's kind of a bit of a letdown, where it sort of goes, oh, all right then. But I think for an entry into an episode, I think it's very well done. It gets you hooked at the very least.
Yeah.
And I was going to criticize how can he fall from space and be okay. But they say in the episode, they're like, the suit's fixing me. I was like, okay, that's fine. The suit said it. But
it's not an end of time situation.
How can you breathe in space between leaving the ship and getting the suit?
Poorly.
Yes, even though you can scream and laugh and go,
yes.
I guess it's fine.
Fine.
But it's fine. But yeah, I think I just would have liked, I think, a bit more of that. But, you know, it's supposed to be your introduction to the character. You immediately know who the Doctor is.
Yeah.
And especially because this will be an episode that probably people are tuning in for because it's Christmas Day and there's nothing else on, so they're like, we'll put Doctor Who on. Now, I do like how the cold open sort of feeds into the start of the episode proper, where Madge has to take him home, and then it's the wrong police box and that kind of thing. I like that.
So you know people be like, how could she just lockpick the TARDIS?
Yes.
So I'm glad it wasn't actually.
Yes, yeah. So I quite like that, and the introduction to those characters at least. I mean, there's some argument to say that maybe you don't necessarily need that in there, because you could just introduce them when they get to the house rather than doing the whole home life thing. But I think it really does help sort of set the scene, especially after you've had the big open of big explosions. But
there's a really nice prequel to this episode as well.
Oh,
which is the Doctor leaving a voice message for Amy when he's on the spaceship and he's all blowing up and stuff. He's like, save me! Oh wait, you don't know where I am. So that's nice as well. And almost wish they just put that in with that opening scene, because it is a nice kind of opener.
Yeah, so I do think that, you know, you could have done more with the opening, and, you know, maybe it would be a better episode if you focused on the opening instead of what the story is. But
there wasn't budget for that kind of stuff.
No, there was not, and you can definitely tell there wasn't the budget when we get later into the episode. It definitely goes from peak budget all the way down, but we'll get there. So what's your second positive?
The final scene.
Yes, that's one of my additions.
Yes, it's so good. You know, every episode of Doctor Who does have something really, really great about it, and I think this is what's really, really great about this particular one, other than the title, because I think the title's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just adore how it pays off, like Eleven's little arc in this episode. You know, it's nice to see when the Doctor has like found a family of his own, even though, you know, the tragedy of it is he's always going to lose that family again and again and again. But yeah, it's nice to kind of check back in with Amy and Rory, and kind of see them. I don't know if it was a surprise that they were in it or not. I can't remember.
It wouldn't have been heavily advertised, I guess.
No, I imagine because they weren't like in the main credits or anything.
No, I suppose there wouldn't have been a trailer for Series 7 yet either. So
no, because that was like 9 months after this.
but they might have been filmed.
Yeah,
Series 7.
So I can't even remember. But either way, it's kind of, you know, a nice way to end off the episode, and I like how it tied into what Madge had kind of learned from coming to terms or starting to come to terms with Reg's death and then not needing to. Like, well, you know, it's Christmas. You need to go and tell your friends that you're not dead because you know, look what we've just been through.
Yeah,
so that was all great. Matt Smith and Karen Gillan bounce off each other again brilliantly, hence why they got cast together. And yeah, I like that again. It's been another 2 years because that's something they definitely lean into in Series 7. Is, you know, that Amy and Rory are going to get visibly older. Their friends are going to start noticing. Like, do they have to make a choice? So I like that the girl who waited is still being kept waiting, even though they already knew. And, you know, it's a very kind of casual reunion, really, because they did know that he was alive. But it's such a best friend reaction, I think, of them, you know, making a fuss over like, I'm not going to hug first. And her, the water pistol's great as well. I love that, you know, very Amy to be like, have a water pistol ready for the Christmas Carol singers. So that was all very, very good.
Giving out hypothermia on Christmas Day.
Yeah, that's right. That's what you get. And again, a shame that we didn't get a bit more Rory in there, maybe, as the reunion. But it's not really.
He's not the main one.
No, it's always been the Doctor and Amy, really, isn't it? So that's what you kind of think of. So yeah, I really like that scene a hell of a lot, and you know, 11 happy crying at the end. And he's found his family. Wholesome Christmas vibe, heartwarming kind of ending. I love the soundtrack of that final scene as well, and it's so good. And the Doctor kind of closing the TARDIS blue door. Funny. Yeah, it's just a nice kind of showcase of how close these guys have kind of become over the last 2 series. Sad when you think what's going to be happening in 5 episodes' time, really.
Well, I mean, it's sad when you think about what's going to happen in the next episode when it's going to
true.
come back and they're not even going to be together.
Boy.
They get a divorce.
What?
Oh, they were happy 3 months ago. What's going on?
Oh my God! Oh my Christ! So yeah, it's a really lovely kind of conclusion to the episode. Very emotional, very heartfelt. Everything I think the Christmas special tends to try and do with like its message and how they wrap things up. So yeah, a really, really brilliant final scene.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. It was one of my additional positives just because it's very wholesome and it's such like a contrast to the 1920s. I don't know if this is World War One or World War Two. Early 1900s vibes.
I think it was World War Two. I think she mentions it was 1940 or something.
So it's being set in the modern day is a very good contrast to what we have had before, and I think it stands out quite nicely with the rest of the episode, and it's probably why a lot of people think about it as well, and rather than think of the rest of the episode. Yeah, because it's something that it stands out because of how different it is in the context. Yes, so my final main positive, the wood people.
Same.
Oh, nice. I think they're neat.
I just think they're neat.
Remember
getting pictures of them at the Doctor Who experience.
No, the classic wooden boys.
Boys.
I mean, yeah. There's not really much to say. I think they're great. They look great. The production design is great. I assume the eyes blinking is CGI, but
I would assume so.
I mean, if either way, it looks great. It's, you know, it doesn't stand out as being terrible. I think it's wise they only had 2 of them. I think because then you can distinctly have as if they're the leadership. Yeah. But I think if you did more, then it might have been a bit, you know, stock footage of all of them.
Yeah, we didn't need the marquee, did we?
No. And so it kind of works out quite nicely there. I think it's good that they look menacing, but then they're not menacing. Although it is quite creepy when they like use the humans for the voice. Yeah, when they clearly don't necessarily need to.
And I do like the build up to them, like the footprints getting bigger in the snow.
Yes,
cool.
I think that is good. Although I wouldn't, there could have been more because more things formed, but budget, I guess you can only see the 2. But it is fine, and I think from a production standpoint, if they really sort of blew it out of the water for this one. I think it's not a. I wouldn't say it's a memorable character.
No.
But I think if you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, when I think of wood people in Doctor Who,
You think of the tune.
I would think of Forrester Cheam. I'd also
Who gets
think
a
of
reference.
the woman from Knock Knock as well.
Yes.
Which is, I think, really done well as well.
Yeah, but I mean, they're pretty similar in design. I think this one and the Knock Knock ones, although it's a bit more fluidity, I think, to their to the Knock Knock, because it's actually a woman in prosthetics rather than a
big masks.
Yeah,
yeah,
big things. But yeah, I think they look great. And as a creature for the episode, I think they do their job well in being quite creepy and menacing until you realise that they're not that creepy and menacing.
Yeah.
Sort of the reverse of the Weeping Angels.
Yeah.
Where they don't look too harmful, but then you think about it, you're like, oh, they're actually quite scary.
Yeah.
So it's nice that we have those sort of polar opposites of wood and stone as well.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something they could do. They could do a big, nice war between the two of them. Wow.
They should. There should be more wooden creatures. They should do a wooden Cyberman.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if that will ever show up.
Nah, they wouldn't do that. How would you stop a wooden Cyberman?
You would have to do some kind of trickery, wouldn't
yeah.
you? Doctor's not very smart.
We'll know it doesn't work on wood. So.
Doesn't work on wood.
Anyway, that's a hint towards that's a tool we use later.
That's a surprise tool.
But yeah, I think the wood people are great. So what do you think of them? They're also great.
Basically, yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wish we could have seen more of them, but also they're just speaking through other people. Is there really much point anyway? I do think they're kind of underutilized in that aspect, but also with the story that they're telling, how much more could you really do with them? It's not like they're the villains that need to be stopped or anything like that. But yeah, aesthetically and everything, the design of them is really, really cool. I like how it ties into being set on like this foresty planet and hatching from the naturally occurring
Christmas
tree
balls.
ornaments, which is a cool idea. And they constructed a building. It looks like a building, but it's actually wood because of budget. And all of
complete with metal railings as well.
Yeah, I just think theming wise, it's a very appropriate choice for if you're going to have a creature in this episode. I think it does make sense, and I do think the episode benefits from having something like that at least, even if they're not villains. It is something that you can put in the Doctor Who experience, or you can make a toy out of. Not that they did. So yeah, they're really cool. And after the Peg dolls earlier in the series, I'm glad we got some creatures made out of wood that weren't quite as scary, because fuck those things.
Yes.
They're fucking horrible. So I'm glad they kind of brought balance to the Force by using these two. And yeah, I think the performers did a great job of kind of making them feel like they wouldn't. This is potential to be a very awkward conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you're wooden acting. That's what I'm trying to do.
We'll get on to the wooden acting. But yes, yeah. I just agree with everything you said. Basically, they're very, very cool, particularly from a production standpoint.
Yeah.
And yeah, well done. From the limited budget I think you clearly had for this episode, I do think it was nice to have two practical boys and a practical girl as well. So well done.
Yeah, fair enough. My third, final, additional is Madge and Reg. That's the dad's name.
Reg, yeah.
I like them.
Yeah.
I like their relationship, although it's a bit creepy that he followed her home.
We'll come to that.
Hey, it's the 1920s, I guess. It's fine. But yeah, I think their reunion at the end is very wholesome. And I think you believe that they're married and they're with kids, and sort of the interactions they have at the start of the episode is great. Although I still think Alexander Armstrong should have been in Sarah Jane Adventures instead. I know they were going to do that, this is I guess his alternative appearance in Doctor Who, live action at least. Very nice when he's in the attic, and I'm like, oh, is that all?
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I think he's great in this. I think it's a shame that there wasn't more of him.
Yeah, he was clearly filming pointless.
Yes, of the guest actors we had, I think he was the best one with his limited scenes. I think he's great in it, but I do like their relationship, and I do like the sort of the struggle that she has with trying to how to tell the kids.
Yeah.
Although I think
I won't be able to cope when Alexander Armstrong does.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah, hopefully not soon, please.
Not soon. Let's not burn a crib in this.
Just touch wood. But yeah, I think their relationship's great. I think their reunion's great. And I just really like them.
I just think he's neat.
I just think they're neat.
Yeah.
As side characters, I think if they're two unknown actors in that role, maybe you don't get that. But anyway,
I think to international audiences, they basically are.
yeah, true, and then maybe that's an issue. For
Same with like Bill
international
Bailey
audience.
and stuff.
Yeah, but from like a domestic audience, you've obviously got the mum from Outnumbered, and then Alexander Armstrong, who's a known comedian for his comedy with Armstrong and Miller, and I don't know if Pointless was on at this point.
It started 2 years before.
There we go. And obviously he's known in Doctor Who for Mrs. Smith. So I think maybe if they're different actors, you might not have that chemistry, but I think from our point of view, at least, with knowing them,
I think they're well cast.
Yes, 100%. So have you got any additional?
I do. I did like the deforestation message behind it. Not the deforestation. Shoved down our throats. Rest in peace, Doctor.
Although they don't exactly make it be like, oh my god, it's terrible, we need to stop it. They just kind of let it happen.
Yeah.
So
that's what we do in real life.
We can always do more. So
apparently.
Yeah, we can't just let the trees leave the planet, okay?
No.
They need to stay here and burn with us, okay?
Yes, we're screwed. So we're bringing you down with us, future generations who will no longer live now.
God.
But anyway, we're all murderers in a way.
Aren't we all?
But yes, I did like how that message was kind of brought into the story, and that was kind of the villain. If you're going to have that kind of message, I guess a Christmassy episode kind of makes sense when more people are going to be watching.
And especially with the whole argument around natural or plastic Christmas trees.
Yes.
Whether or not everyone having real Christmas trees is sustainable, whether or not people having plastic Christmas trees is sustainable. So it's kind of relevant and timely to have it around a time when people are sat next to potentially a tree that has been grown and killed for one day of the year, basically.
Essentially, yes. So all that fun, all Christmas fun.
Yeah.
And then the thinking you're dead at Christmas time kind of thing that they used to connect Madge and the Doctor's stories and how that pays off, I thought was really well done. And the Rangers, I liked them.
I liked them, but I have an issue. But
Right.
I liked them.
Okay,
So come on,
I think that's probably going to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think they're neat.
Yeah, I like their conversation. I like the interaction they have with Madge, where she tricks them into, being her prisoner.
Yeah,
Just the way she does
and
it.
it's like,
they're
there's nothing you could say to make
Yeah.
me think you're going to use that gun. I'm looking
Yeah.
for my kid.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! I wish
like
they'd lingered on him for a bit longer.
Yes.
But
yeah.
that's great. And then the guy with money issues.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
It was in his file. It's fine.
Yeah, and then the woman who's actually talking sense. So that's nice
Yes.
as well. So I did like the dynamic between the three of them. I
Mhm.
like the death from Androzani. Wink, wink, nod, nod. We'll get on to that. And everything with them. In their limited role. A lot of the supporting cast are basically limited roles in this.
Couple of scenes and that's it, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Bill Bailey's a busy boy, I guess.
Yeah. He won't be the only wasted comedian in a Christmas special, that's for sure.
He won't be the only in between the star wasting.
No, he certainly won't be.
But yeah, I mean, I know people critique them for being wasted and stuff. I don't really see it. I think they play the role that they need to in the story. I think, again, if you think about international audiences, they're not going to know who Bill Bailey is or anything like that. So they're going to be like, oh, I like those funny people who are in it for a bit. They're not going to be like, Bill Bailey was wasted. So yeah,
It's a blessing and a curse. For
it is
living
for
in
us
the UK.
Brits, yeah. For everyone and their mum in Britain being in Doctor Who at some point.
Yeah, literally.
So yeah, I really like that. And I like the design of their suits and everything. I thought it looked really cool from
Mm-hmm.
that. Again, the production standpoint, I think they're really, really nice. And they're kind of there to just say, well, this is the exposition of what the threat is in this episode, by the way. And then off they pop. But I do think they have some nice moments and interactions with Madge as well. And yeah, I do like that. I wrote down the name of the woman, Billis. I do like that, she kind of was very respectful of Madge. And that they kind of, in that limited screen time, they did kind of form a bond. She was the only one who wasn't tied up. She was like, you're the only one I can trust. So I did like that they kind of had that. And that, she's like, oh, I'm sorry, but we have to go. And, it's like, where's your Big Finish spin-off as they teleport away?
Yeah.
Probably because you're Bill Bailey. You've got too many panel shows to be doing.
Certainly does.
But yeah, I think this is literally the only thing I've seen Bill Bailey in. And yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked those three as well. I thought they were a fun little dynamic. And again, you probably want some comedic characters in there for Christmas kind of special and stuff like that. Someone to escape from the potential dead husband and the deforestation. So I do like that they had some comic relief at that point in the story where the doctors stopped being comedic and started being serious.
Yeah.
I thought they kind of were brought in at a good time. So I liked those guys.
Even though the comedian they had at the start is the one they kill off.
But they don't.
Well, that's true, yeah. No, but he plays a slightly depressing role instead of the comedian. But
Yeah.
You can do that. It's fine. That's called acting.
Acting.
Negatives now. I'll go on my first one. Again, I don't know how many of these will overlap. It's too long.
It's too long. Okay.
It's a bit too long, I think.
Right.
When I saw it was 58 minutes, I was like, yes, it's a Christmas special. They're quite long. And we've already sort of mentioned earlier, I don't think you necessarily need the introduction bit where the Doctor falls to Earth and Manchester against the TARDIS. I don't think you necessarily need that. Sure, it's good to show the dynamic, but you can do that throughout the episode and have that anyway. But I guess because they have Alexander Armstrong, so they need to.
They want to set him
They
up
need to have
so
him.
you care
Yeah,
that he dies. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I think you could easily just cut that out. And just
I
sort of
think
have the
you could
family
cut a
coming.
lot out of them just walking around the forest.
And that, yes.
Every line Lily says is a question, I swear.
Yeah, yeah.
Just stop.
Yeah. And then it's like when they're opening the door, she's like, "Are you doing it? I'm doing it. Are you doing it? I'm doing it." I'm okay. But yeah, I do think it takes too long for them to get to the tower.
Yeah.
It's fine, especially because we've seen the bauble thing twice. They do it with Cyril, and then they do it with the Doctor and Lily. I'm like, okay, as an audience, we get it. So, maybe just have him see some footprints and follow the footprints rather than have us have the ornament and then do the. But I don't think it matters. But they do it twice, so it's kind of like,
yeah,
I don't necessarily need that. I only need the one with the context.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it kind of lingers a bit as well when they're like, "Oh, are you sure your brother's in bed? Are you sure he's in bed?
Yes.
Are you sure he's..." And I'm like, "You go and check like 3 times.
You know what's going to
don't-
happen, and they still
you don't
try
need
and
to do it.
Oh,
Like,
maybe he's not.
you can just have him go, do the whole thing. Are you sure? And be like, "Where's your brother? Oh, he's in bed. Are you sure he's in bed?" And then don't have a go and check and come back and whatever. I don't think you necessarily need it. And then maybe the sort of house exploration scene's a little bit too long as well when he's showing them around. Because it's fine. It sets up
They
the
try
humour
to
for it. But
cut it so it seems fast paced and stuff, but there is a lot.
yes, especially in the bedroom where they're like this. I'm like, I'm imagining that scene where I'm like, can you what's going on? Can you stop, please?
Oh, for God's sake!
I'm very confused.
My husband's dead.
Yeah, except she can't say that, obviously.
No.
But yeah, I think it's just maybe a bit too long, and then how long it takes Madge to get up to the thing, and where it's going with her, and I'm like, oh, you don't necessarily need to have all this faff.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's for Christmas Day. They've got an hour slot to fill. You might as well put whatever you want in it. I don't know what you would change in the story to necessarily make it fill that gap. I don't know what more you'd add in unless you expand the opening a bit more. But then you have the issue of people more so wanting more.
Maybe wanting a bit more of that. Yeah.
Yeah, than this. But maybe you establish the ending. Maybe you have a sort of Christmas invasion. He sits down for dinner type thing rather than just going.
Or we see him having dinner with Amy and Rory or something.
Yeah.
And they extend that a bit.
Yeah. So it is what it is. But for me, I think it was just a tad too long, unfortunately. And it wasn't even the full hour. It was 58 minutes. So they clearly were struggling slightly with.
Yeah, I
with
don't
the
think it's
extension.
quite a story designed for an hour,
No,
for sure.
no, definitely
It's
not.
definitely a 45-minute story, but it's Christmas special. Kind of wish they just did like a Legend of the Sea Devils did, and it was just 45 minutes, even if it's a special.
No, exactly. So what's your first negative?
Romanticising stalking.
Okay, yep, that's a fair point.
Yeah, that was always my big issue with it.
Mhm.
And I was like, that's going to be my main negative.
Yep.
When they pay it off, it's like, we followed you home again. That part's sweet, and I
Yes.
like that message. I think that's very wholesome. But I don't think it's worth the setup
No,
of like,
and
he
I-
follows you home every day until you marry him, or
Yeah.
at least,
And then it's
show
her
more
saying,
of
"I didn't
that?
want to make a fuss." I'm like,
Yeah.
so...
yeah, I don't want to make a scene. So
Yeah.
so you married him and
Yeah.
had 2 kids. With
And I
this
think
man?
it's also when they're walking through the forest as well. I think it's like if they were walking down a street or something, or maybe they worked at the same place, and there's something better. But I think it's the way it's framed isn't necessarily
Yeah.
the best.
They needed
way.
to just have her be okay.
Just say like we got the same bus. home from work every day.
Or like we followed each other home or something like that.
Yeah,
so it was like they're both weirdos. I don't know.
They both went down the same road, and they would,
But yeah, I don't approve of them making Alexander Armstrong look like a creep.
Yeah,
a stalker, which he was.
Yeah, and you definitely look see it in the flashback scene as well.
Yeah, they tried to make him look younger by giving him more hair.
Yeah, it does not look good.
Father looks so young. No, he doesn't.
He looks worse. We should put a hat on him and be done with this.
He looks deader than he currently is in the story. But yeah, sorry, Alexander. I know you're watching this. I know you're a big fan.
He definitely is.
But yeah, I never been big on
stalking.
Stalking isn't that romantic. Don't follow someone home every day from work until they marry you, kids. That's not the message that you should be taking away from
That was for the 1930s, not the 2030s.
Yes.
Come on now.
So, big oops, basically, for that particular messaging. Similar vibes of like the toxic father at the end of Idiot Stanton. Like, yes, he's your dad. You should go and like work.
Yeah,
very similar kind of vibes, and I hate them both.
And a very similar time frame as well. There's only probably about 20 years between the two episodes, isn't there?
Yeah. While this was the norm back then, it doesn't mean you need to do it in an episode set.
No,
it's not like a Rosa situation where you need those horrible things that happen in that time for the episode to work.
It's especially strange because the whole sort of a big part of the episode is about empowering women and women being the stronger of
the mothership.
Yeah. Only for her then to be like, yeah, he stalked me, so I married him because I didn't want to make a fuss. It's like, it's like, well, why don't you have, if she's the powerful one, at least have her stalk him. Yeah. Go on.
Seriously,
and they kind of do a similar situation with Donna in The Runaway Bride, where she was like, oh yeah, he kept asking me when it's actually her that did it. I think that would have been a nicer twist. But not that either of them should have been stalking each other, but there are better ways you can do it. Like we both walked the same way from home and we got talking, or something like that. But
yeah, it was just unnecessary. And it's there for the payoff of like, oh, he followed you home, but I think you could have set that up in a way that wasn't, he's a stalker and he followed her home until they got married.
You could just say he followed you home.
Yeah,
you don't necessarily need the payoff because it's still whatever.
Yeah, he guided his way or something like that.
Yes,
it's fine. Or you had Cyril's telescope. You could have just been like, oh, he was huge into astrology and he loves stars and stuff. And like, oh, he's the ultimate star to guide you. Yeah, something cheesy, Christmassy like that.
Yeah.
Just instead, they went for romanticizing stalking, which was a choice.
Yay! Yep. That is fair enough. My second negative, although we spoke about them, the rangers, the woodcutters, whatever you want to call them. I just don't. Well, I just assume that that's what their job was. In effect, was just be there to cut the wood.
They didn't know.
Yeah, well, exactly, and that's my problem. They're in it for like 5 minutes. I thought I was holding off writing this in my negatives until the end of the episode, like writing in my notes and being like, what's the point? Because like, oh, maybe they come back. They don't. They just piss off. They could have just teleported out of there any time. So what's the point in handcuffing any of them and doing it when they can just leave? And why are they down there in the first place? If it's about to start in like 10 minutes. You're not going to get rid of her, are you? You're not taking her up with you, so you weren't there to make sure everything was off. So I think they're just unnecessary.
They're there because the episode's an hour long.
Yes, I think that's what it comes down to. Maybe they had a guest star and they wanted to. Maybe they booked both Alexander Armstrong and Bill Bailey, thinking that one of them would drop out and then neither did, so they had to fill up a role with one of them. But I just don't think they're necessary. They're there so that Madge can sort of show that she's strong and independent, which is great, and I like that.
They need to set up in the mother.
But then just keep them on. Don't have them teleport away. Just keep them there in the background if you have to, because I think it's better that they're there to sort of see the souls and all that leave. Be like, oh my god, what do we do? All these trees were like, it's better to have the kind of outcome there that shows some regret and remorse in destroying the planet than just, okay, we're doing our job, goodbye, see you later, and then never appearing again. Because it sets up Madge to drive the machine, but she was going to do that anyway, whether the people were there or not. You can clearly see that's how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
they were there so she had something to drive.
Yeah, that's really why the ship's there. But even so, just have her keep walking into the tree.
She just melts.
I mean, she gets out.
She walks in.
Two-Face. Well, if she wasn't stopped, she wouldn't have got hit by the rain. But even when she comes in, her coat's still partially burned and singed, so it's not like it made much of a difference into how she got there.
Yeah.
It just sort of, she would have kept going that way. But don't know. I just don't think they were necessary. while they were good and while I enjoyed them being there, I don't think they needed to, or they should have been there for the duration of the remainder of the episode, rather than just sort of be there as another threat that isn't really a threat.
This is almost why I don't like stunt casting, because you're never going to have them long enough.
No, exactly. And it's a Stephen Fry situation for Spyfall where he's in like one scene.
Yeah, one scene and dies. Yeah.
What was when he was like one of the guest cast that they announced?
At least Lenny Henry had lots to do in that 2 part.
No, true, but then it's the same thing.
Just like,
but then it's the same thing as you don't need to be there or keep him there a little bit longer to be like, oh my god, I can't believe this has happened. But it's fine. I do enjoy their scenes, but I just wish there was either more of them or none of them. I think what we got wasn't enough. If that makes sense.
I don't like
them. No, yes.
That's fair enough.
So what's your second negative?
Cyril.
He's my third. Yes.
I hate that kid. Yep. I'm sorry, but I'm also not really sorry. When he backs into the chair,
and he just sits there.
Fucking idiot. Sorry. There really it should have just been Lily in this episode.
Yeah.
She goes, the doctor has to follow her.
Yeah.
They didn't need 2 kids at all. I guess they wanted multiple kids because of the Narnia references.
Yep.
I guess. But he just started.
Yeah.
The whole episode, and when he's like, "We're waiting for," I could have strangled that kid. Oh, he's so annoying. It wouldn't be so bad if we hadn't had good child characters like George in Night Terrors earlier this season.
Yeah. But you didn't think you'd be saying that last year.
I didn't think that. That was a turn up for the books, and I apologise sincerely to that ginger kid. This ginger kid, however, no.
Yeah.
Look, he was very young at the time. I hate that he's probably he's a grown man now.
Yeah.
I just don't think performance-wise it was that good. But also the character's just a little shit. I know that's kind of the intention for the most part, but I also feel like it wasn't meant to be as annoying as he is.
He's not too much of a little shit that you can be like, oh, that's a misbehaving kid. He was just like,
it's just so nothing.
It wasn't consistent.
So flip-floppy.
Yeah.
Like he's inquisitive, and then he's like scared of the thing, and then he's inquisitive again, and like nothing should have changed his mind, and yet he's going back in. I don't know. It just again feels unnecessary, and probably again because it needs to be an hour long, they have to have 2 kids in there. I guess that's what it feels like. So yeah, he's just. Oh, I really didn't like it.
The big glasses help where you can see his eyes.
I mean,
where they're super zoomed in.
I can't really shit on glasses, but
no, I know, but I don't know if the kid needed glasses, but they definitely look like
they're definitely there to make him.
They were there to make him look.
Oh, isn't he sweet?
Younger,
isn't he
cuter?
Ignore how annoying he is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's just kind of unnecessary. There's not much to him. When he does get some lines, I'm like, just give them to Lily. She's a better actress.
Yeah.
I don't want to shit on the kid, but it's just a shame when we had a really good child character, like 4 episodes ago.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a shame that his presence is what it is. And it's a shame that he's very stupid, and he's very much there to, be why this plot has to happen, because he's a greedy little kid who can't wait to open his presents. Which, again, relatable, fair.
Yeah. Understandable.
I found all the Doctor Who figures I was getting for my birthday about 2 weeks before.
Wow.
And I knew the cupboard that they stored them in. And I checked what ones I was getting, and I got all the classic series figures when they first came out.
Aren't you lucky?
I am a lucky boy. And I'm still that surprised and stuff. But, I get it. Kids are kids.
Yeah.
But they don't need to be kids in Doctor Who. You just don't need him in this one.
No.
Yes, Lily, all she did really was ask questions, but at least I thought she was a good actress.
And that's what a companion does anyway, is ask the questions. So she filled the traditional role.
She was very much a classic series companion who just asked questions.
You could have had her go first, and then had Mum be with the Doctor. Exactly. And you don't need the Rangers either, and you can cut it down to 45 minutes.
Yeah, there's so many different things you could have done to not need him, but I guess they felt the need was there. Don't know why, but yeah, because it's not like it was even him that they used to power the thing anyway, because he was a kid, he was a boy, so it wasn't going to work anyway. So yeah, not much need for him. Kind of annoying. Child actors, it's a flip of a coin. I don't think the coin landed on the right side this time around. I'm sure he's a lovely guy now, and if he continued to be acting, I hope he continued to get work and has gotten better. And I'm sure he has, because he's not a kid anymore. But this particular performance for me, I rubbed me the wrong way.
Yep, I think that's fair. That's why he's my third negative as well. Yeah, it's just not great. He sort of backs into the main thing is when he like just backs into the chair and just sits there and like
That's
move,
his worst
run,
moment.
move,
Like,
do
what
something.
are you
move.
doing?
Like I
What
know
is the point of those glasses if you can't see what's going on?
At least like with Madge, it looks like the crown is sort of drawing to her, like there's some kind of thing there,
Yeah.
but there's no implication that that's what happens
He's just thick.
with Cyril. So yeah, I'm just not a fan. It's just a bit, and he's a little shit when he's like, "Oh, make sure you tell Dad this." You're like, "Oh yeah, Mum went out." I'm like,
Yeah.
what if she died? How bad would you feel then?
He thought he was so cool.
Yeah, I know.
And
I mean,
I don't like
it was
people who
clever,
think that.
but not. I just wasn't a fan, unfortunately.
Yeah, bullying works.
Um,
I did that back.
No,
So
no.
I was bullied so awfully. But yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cyril.
No, fair
But
enough.
Lily for the win.
Yeah.
I guess.
So what's your third negative then? Your third and final one?
Oh yes, there's more.
Mm.
I guess it's more so like things I wish they expanded on
Mhm.
again, and things that probably could have filled the hour instead of some other stuff.
Yep.
They just their souls can just leave them just because. I think that's a really interesting idea that they can do that. I want to know why, and like what is, the Doctor is very familiar with this place because he thought it was harmless and everything. So he should have this information about his creatures, why they could do this.
Yeah.
Like, pretty fucking handy thing to be able to do. Like the Time Lord, that was their plan at the end of time. Time was just like, should have invaded these people and stolen
Yeah,
their
right.
powers.
Literally.
They did it to the Doctor.
Yeah.
Little did we know.
Certainly did.
So why not do it to those? But yeah, it was just it's a neat idea. I just think it's neat.
Yeah.
And obviously like the Christmas imagery of them all being stars
Yeah,
and stuff like
yeah.
that. It ties in. I think that justifies exploring it, but it just doesn't. I think it's a cool ability that they have. We don't really know why or how they can do it. It just happens.
We don't even really know what happened to them afterwards either. They just sort of became a thing.
They just
became light, I guess, in space.
off they went. They all died in the time vortex.
Yeah.
I imagine. They all just starved to death in there. But there you are. It was a neat idea that I am sad that they didn't spend time actually exploring, because I do think it would be cool, and you want to root for these things to live, but they didn't give us many reasons. That sounds horrible.
No,
These innocent creatures, they didn't give us any reason
They
for them
didn't
to
look
live.
good. Ah!
But yeah, it's a shame. Because then it would have also added more to the King and Queen, who didn't have that much to do, but looked good. It would have made them, I think, better.
Yeah,
So,
why are they still wooden form instead of...
yeah, is it like the King and Queen go down with their ship, like
Yeah.
Titanic or something, and all their subjects again? Like, what happens? I don't know. I think there was something there they could have explored, but instead we got Cyril and walking around in the forest for a long time.
dumbstruck?
Yeah.
Yep, I think that's fair. My only additional negative is the CGI. Some of the CGI.
put that.
Mainly when the big thing's coming towards the tower.
Yeah.
And when the when it's in the distance, like fine, but then when like the tower comes closer in the view, I was like, Jesus Christ, that's a
Jesus.
that's a PNG that's just going, oh,
Yeah.
not great. Again, they blew their budget on the opening sequence and the practical effects, but the fact that you didn't
They actually dropped Matt Smith in space,
yeah, they did.
Yeah.
But you didn't even need the Walker thing either. If you don't. It goes back to something where you didn't need the Rangers, so you don't need the Walker. You could so unnecessary money spent, really. Even when Matt Smith's falling from the spaceship, it's a bit dodgy there as well.
And he just suddenly gets really tiny just before the credits hit. Like,
Yeah.
oh god, we've run out of time. Just making pretty small.
Yeah, it's not great there, but
Yeah, that wasn't ideal. And I had that. The effects of that were best. And there's an awful bit of ADR at the start as well. When I think the Doctor's reaching for the helmet as he's falling. He says, "Come to Doctor," but Matt Smith's mouth is, and yet he's saying, "Come to." I was like, "Oh no!" And that was like we're like a minute in. I was like, "Oh no, we're already finding things like that." Like, please no. So I'm glad that I actually ended up enjoying it. That wasn't the best start. Yeah. So that was that wasn't great, but there we are.
Yeah, the CGI one's only my sort of only main one. I mean, the only thing is, tell your kids their dad's dead when you find out. I feel that's something you should tell them quite
Even
soon.
this Christmas.
Well, this is the thing, is I don't know when, because obviously she finds out when they're at home.
It's never going to be a good time to do it. So
No,
why
and
not?
And I mean, I don't. It's obviously not Christmas Day when they get to the house, but I don't know how long Dad's been dead since they get to the house. I always got the impression it was a couple of weeks. because the way
Yeah.
the way he sort of talks about it is, that we have Christmas, etc. So it might only be a couple of days.
Yeah.
But the way he's sort of like, what? How is it Christmas Day? Always makes me think that maybe it's been longer than a week. But even so, if you're at home, just tell your kids, just tell them, rather than keeping up the ruse. I know it lends to the whole, they're going to be sad or whatever. But then, and it will ruin Christmas. But when they get old enough, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, my dad's dead because of Christmas, are they? They're going to understand that
we did the
there's,
Scrooge
a war.
story last Christmas.
Well, exactly.
It's not going to happen again. Surely.
I think that's just a motto for life. If your parent dies, find out sooner rather than later. I think it's fair enough.
Advice.
But I mean, it's fine. And what a way to tell them in the end is like, I don't want to see not my kid. Don't let me see him die. The kid's like, you fucking what, mate? He's what? Sorry?
It's actually the blinking man name.
Yeah, but it's fine. Whatever. It is heartbreaking when she's like, I don't want to see him die. Like, fair enough, that's
really
heartbreaking. But, I think it would be worse if the kids knew when she was like, don't show my kids. I think that would be worse.
Yeah.
But
and the fact that, like, the doctor's like, I'm sorry, but you have to keep thinking of it. You have to see this now, because otherwise it's not going to work.
No, exactly. But never mind. Have you got any additional negatives?
No, that was all I had, really. It's just those effects at the start.
Terrible effects. Cool. Do you have some fun facts for us?
I do.
Yay.
Not that many, but here you are. It's almost as if this isn't a popular episode.
Who
There
could
you go.
guess?
And again, a lot of them are like, oh, really? So they're doing good work on the Doctor Who wiki. Did you know, for example, that the story is partly based on the C.S. Lewis book, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe?
No way. I thought it was based on Harry Potter.
Can you believe it? Thank God. It's not.
Already had that one. It's fine.
That's true. And we nearly had the J.K. Rowling episode.
We did nearly have the chicken.
That was nearly a Christmas special.
Oh,
that would have aged like
God.
milk, yeah. But never mind. So yeah, that's obviously based on that, which is the first Narnia book released, but the second chronologically. Alexander Armstrong voiced Mr. Smith in The Sarah Adventures, as well as The Stolen Earth and Journey's End, 3 years prior. And that gave me a huge crisis of time. I can't believe it's only 3 years in between Journey's End.
Madness,
and
isn't it?
and
Well,
this
it was
episode.
because obviously Journey's End, it feels like it's longer because they had the whole year without the season.
Yeah, they had
so
the
it feels
year
like there's a bigger
specials.
gap, but it's only effectively 3 seasons ago.
So it's mad. Madness. Arabella Weir, who played Billis, played an alternate female version of the Third Doctor in the Big Finish story Exiled in 2003.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Fun
Heard it here
facts.
first, female doctors.
Unbelievable.
And it took 15 years for it to happen in live action. After that. Well done. Spencer Wilding, who played the Wooden King, played the Minotaur in the God Complex, and Paul Casey played the Queen. Basically, every costumed villain who's not Spencer Wilding is Paul Casey. This is the first and only time during Karen Gillan's tenure on the show that her name doesn't appear in the opening credits. Bill Bailey was pleased to be given a human character to play, saying, and I quote, "If I was a nude, it would have been harder to bring the funny." So there you go. Hilarious. The characters Vengar and Billis are named in tribute of outgoing executive producers Piers Wenger and Beth Willis. So that's quite sweet, because this was Piers Wenger's last episode, and I think Beth left in the start of Series 7.
Oh, fair enough.
So there you go. The Tree Harvesters are from Androzani Major, which is a planet featuring in the Fifth Doctor's final story, The Caves of Androzani, in 1984. So that's a nice reference.
Nice.
And this is the last regular episode to use the opening credit sequence introduced in the 11th hour.
Oh, is it the individual?
It's the
the
movie
change
maker
ones, isn't it? Yeah.
ones in the first part. And then there's the Series 7B title sequence, which I generally think is great, and people are wrong to dislike it.
Yes.
So yeah, we've seen that for the last time. Yeah.
Wow.
Sadly.
End of an era.
End of an era. It was used for the last time properly, because that's why it's a regular episode,
Right.
in the Children in Need Good as Gold mini
Right,
episode,
right.
which aired a bit after, because that was in 2012.
Okay.
So there you go.
Lovely. Fun stuff. All that's left to do then is rate the episode. Out of 10, what are you giving it?
I'm going to give it a 6.
Same!
Oh my god,
6!
we're back on track!
Wow!
Oh
we
my-
were only away from each
So
other.
I was thinking
for
about
what,
it as like, I
twice?
liked it more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
I would rather watch this than a Gang of Two-Parter again.
I think that's fair, yeah.
So, yeah, 6.
Yeah, but
That's
I think
fine.
it's probably definitely the weakest of the Christmas specials we've had. I mean, if you think of the Christmas specials we've had, this is definitely the weakest, considering we've
Yeah,
had.
and especially when it comes after Christmas Cat, which I think is one of the best.
Yes,
It
yes.
hurts it all the more, I think.
Yeah, because if you think about it, we've had what? Christmas Invasion, introduction of a new Doctor. Obviously, that's gonna be up
the
there.
first
you know.
Doctor Who Christmas special.
Yes,
big
and
deal.
the first one, and the first regeneration of New Who.
Yeah,
Runaway Bride is fun.
yeah. It's
And
probably
can be.
my next least favorite.
Voyage of the Damned is
Great.
an action movie, which is great. End of Time Part
Oh,
1.
never mind. I do have a new least
End of Time
favorite.
Part 1. It's a Part 1, so it's gonna have that little bit of a less, but I'd still rather watch that one than this one. I feel because I think there's more
I've had
scale.
So that's obviously it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And then you've got Christmas Carol, which is good.
One of those good ones.
But that is it. That is it for
And the next one has Jenna
for the
Coleman.
Christmas special. Yes.
It's my time.
And-
She's in the next one.
And next is Asylum of the Daleks, which is the start of Series 7.
It is.
It's the beginning of the end of Matt Smith's run. It's his final
Certainly
full
the beginning
series.
of the end for Amy and Rory.
It certainly is the beginning of the end. It's finally, we're coming towards the end of our third Doctor now. Doing these. Although,
Early
you know,
Dawns.
I mean, we've still got 12 episodes left. Plus, we're getting very close to the 50th special as well.
God, we are.
That's only a few episodes away.
Heck yeah.
We'll have another Christmas special in a few weeks' time as well, because
Yeah,
obviously
because we've only had 5
series,
episodes. and then
Series
Christmas.
7 is split over 2 years.
yeah.
So that'll be fun. But Asylum of the Daleks, what do you remember and what are you expecting?
I love this episode.
Mhm.
I will die on that hill. I think it's genuinely great.
Mhm.
Nick Curran, again, one of my favourite Doctor Who directors, did that one. It's just so good. I think it's a really cool idea to have the Daleks be afraid of other Daleks in this way. Obviously, it's the introduction of the Impossible Girl story arc. Little did we really know it at the time, but that was a huge surprise. How they kept that under wraps, I don't know. Well, by locking Jenna Coleman away and she didn't interact with
In
anyone.
a separate room.
In a
yeah,
separate
by
room.
herself.
That's how. But yeah, I adore this one. I think the vibes are just 10 out of 10 for me. It's so much fun. I don't care what anyone says. I really like it, with the exception of the Amy and Rory stuff. But we'll go on to that.
Yes.
I mean, I like it, but I just don't think it's needed and doesn't really
No,
justify its existence.
no, it's there for a little bit of conflict and then it's resolved.
Yeah, it's when there's only 5 episodes left with them, you don't need to do stuff like that when we've had 2 seasons of it. But again, maybe I'll change my mind. I doubt it, but maybe I'll change my mind. But either way, we get some cool Dalek stuff, some cool Dalek imagery. It's a really fun concept of being locked in an asylum with, full of insane Daleks that even the Daleks are like, ugh, whereas, I just think it's neat. And I love the scale of it, and I'm excited to get Jenna Coleman in Doctor Who.
Is this the first appearance of Ice Stalks coming out of human beds?
I believe it is, yes.
Which is a very unique idea,
Gross
I felt.
idea, yeah.
It's disgusting, and I'm sure people did not like it at the time, naturally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very interested. I love this episode because of the range of Daleks it has. Just the complete...
The Osmond reveal, which I think is one of the best reveals.
Yes.
Doesn't make any sense, but great reveal. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
And yeah, I quite... because it's Oswald in this, isn't it? And the way they be like... The way Matt Smith realises it's her in Bells of St. John, and she goes, Oswin! And I'm like, oh. Okay.
It's
Is that
because she
it?
says, when you clever boy, remember over the phone. So that's how she remembers the password. In The Snowman,
Oh,
she
yeah.
sees her
Yeah,
grave.
sorry. Yeah,
Clara Oswin
that
Oswald.
one. Yeah.
I mean more so because it's Jenna Coleman's voice that they hear throughout the episode, but she's been a Dalek the whole time.
Okay.
So it makes
yeah.
absolutely no
Oh, yeah.
sense that
Okay.
they can hear
Yeah.
it from.
Sorry. The Dalek reveal. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's fair. I think that is
But
great.
I don't
think,
care.
I also like when it like you see what the Daleks see, the crazed Daleks, where they all think they're like humans,
Yes.
and you see them all
That's
like
fun.
dancing around and stuff, and
It's
that
like
obviously
like
gets
a
towards-
ballerina girl, isn't it? And
Yeah,
just like, whee!
Yeah.
It's great.
Um,
And eggs.
yes,
I love that bit.
You want this? Extra.
Oh, Rory. That scene would not work
Oh.
if it wasn't Rory.
No, it's
Just so
it's
good.
excellent, and obviously this is. I used to have a poster of this episode on my bedroom wall.
It was the DVD
the-
cover of part 1 as
with,
well. Matt Smith holding.
Matt Smith, Karen, Amy. I think it's great. I'm very much looking forward to it. And yeah, the Daleks are back in Series 7. Wow, it's almost
I
like they
really
need to make an
like Series 7.
appearance
I'm so
in every
excited.
series. I also
Underrated.
quite like Series 7. To be fair, I'm very
People
excited.
just
for
don't
some of
like
these.
fun. I don't understand. Like, why would
No,
you
I
actually say this
I
series?
quite like Dinosaurs on the Spaceship as well.
So do
That's
I.
fun.
I think Tanko Mercy's good. Power
Yeah,
of Trees,
I like
unfortunate.
I think
it's
Power
not
of
their
Trees is the
fault.
worst one.
It's not
Yeah.
their fault.
Poor Chibnall bad.
Yeah, he got screwed over yet again, unfortunately. But, at least it has the introduction of Kate Stewart, who's
Yes.
still around and still
Yes,
going to be
that
around.
is
So that's
fair.
fun. And then obviously Entertainment Hands. Fantastic.
yeah, a lot of it is good. And then even Series 7B, you know,
I have such a soft spot for them. I mean, it's my favourite Doctor, my favourite companion. I only have them for 10 episodes, but my god, do I enjoy them.
You've got what have you got in that one? You've got Bell St. John, which is fun with the weird spoon head.
Rings of like a 10, which I think is an underrated gem. Cold War's a lot of fun. I like that one.
Yep.
Hyde, I think, is really good as well.
Yep.
The Journey.
Oh yes.
Which is the dud.
Yeah.
Every series has one. Crimson Horror, which I really like.
Yes.
I don't like the novelisation, but I really like the episode. Nightmare in Silver.
I quite like that one.
Yeah, I quite like it.
I'm a big fan.
And then Name the Doctor, which I think's probably one of my favourite episodes ever.
Yeah.
And then we have the 50th and Maximus Last. So
absolutely,
I think it's a really good lineup, and I'm excited.
It is. I forgot the Snowman as well in the middle of that.
Snowman, which I also really like.
So yeah, it's exciting. Series 7 is coming out.
Exciting.
We should have it. I think we will be doing Series 7, Episode 1 next week. Although I know Red Nose Day is on next Friday, and there seems to be some Doctor Who thing that will be Red Nose Day. So we'll see what the timings are like.
We'll be reviewing the Red Nose Day.
So it depends what's in the Red Nose Day thing. You know, it depends if it's worth talking about.
I wouldn't be surprised if they slip in another trailer at the end of what.
Yes, so there could be something, but we will see, because probably by the time Red Nose Days comes out, we probably will have already recorded the episode. So
true.
We'll see what happens, but either way, there'll almost definitely be a video next weekend. It will just depend what it is. But yeah, I think that's it for this week. We'll be back next week, and we'll be on Skype. Goodbye.
Bye.